The road passed Black Hollow Cemetery. I grew up on the edge of a small town that most maps forgot. My house sat at the very end of Briarwood Road, a narrow strip of cracked asphalt that twisted through trees so dense they swallowed the moonlight. There was only one way in or out, and halfway down that road, pressed against a sagging iron fence and a rotting wooden sign, was Black Hollow Cemetery. This wasn't a grand cemetery with marble angels and fresh bouquets. It was old. It's a kind of old where the dates on the headstones stopped making sense. It's a kind where entire families were buried in the same patch of sinking earth. The kind where no one had been officially buried since 1954. At least, that's what the record said. Every night, I had to drive past it to get home. I was 17, coming home late from a friend's house. It was close to midnight. The road was empty, the forest quiet, too quiet. As I approached the cemetery, my headlights swept across the crooked gravestones and tangled weeds, and that's when I saw it. The gate was open. Black Hollow's iron gate was always chained shut, rusted tight. I'd never seen it move in my life, but that night it stood ajar, creaking slightly in the wind. I slowed down. There was no car parked nearby, no lights, no people, just the open gate. I remember telling myself it was probably teenagers messing around. I drove past, heart pounding, trying not to look too long into the darkness between the graves. That's when my radio cut to static. Not the normal crackling kind. It was loud, violent, like someone was tearing fabric inside the speakers. Then, through the static, I heard something, breathing, slow, close, wet. I jerked my hands off the wheel for a split second. When I grabbed it again, I was drifting toward the ditch. The breathing stopped. The radio went silent. And when I looked in the rearview mirror, the gate was closed. After that night, things started to feel off. Every time I drove by Black Hollow, I felt watched. It wasn't a casual feeling. It was specific. It's like someone standing just beyond the reach of my headlights. A week later, I saw it again. This time, there was no open gate, no radio interference. But there was someone standing among the graves. At first, I thought it was a trick of light. A tilted headstone, a shadow. Then it moved. It wasn't walking. It wasn't swaying. It was twitching. A tall, thin shape between two graves, jerking slightly like a puppet on tangled strings. My headlights passed over it for barely a second, but I saw enough. It didn't have the right proportions. Its arms were too long. Its head tilted too far to one side, and it was facing me. I hit the gas. As I sped past, I couldn't stop myself from checking the rearview mirror again. The cemetery was empty, but in the back seat, for just a blink, I thought I saw a dark shape hunched behind me. I slammed on the brakes, threw the interior lights on. Nothing. I was alone. The creature, I later learned from hushed local legends, was said to be an ancient entity, forgotten spirit born from the cemetery's long-accumulated despair. It was rumored to be the tormented remnant of someone buried there centuries ago, twisted by an unnatural force, forever bound to the desolate grounds. Its grotesque form and unsettling movements were a reflection of its eternal suffering. Its presence was a chilling invitation to join the forgotten souls of Black Hollow. The open gate was its lure, the radio static its attempt to reach out, to claim. The worst night happened a month later. My parents were out of town, had the house to myself. Around 1:30 a.m., I realized I'd left my phone charger in the car. I didn't want to go outside, but I did. The night air was heavy and still. The trees didn't move. No insects chirped. It was like the world was holding its breath. I grabbed the charger, locked the car, and turned toward the house. That's when I heard it, from down the road. Metal creaking, slowly. The cemetery gate. I couldn't see it from my driveway, but I knew that sound. I'd heard it in my nightmares since that first night. Creak, then silence. I ran inside and locked the door. 10 minutes later, there was a knock. Not at the front door, not at the back. At my bedroom window, my room was on the second floor. What I saw, I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Knock, knock, 3 slow taps against the glass. I forced myself to look. At first, I saw nothing but my own reflection. Then, behind me, in the reflection, something pale. I spun around. It was outside the window, standing on nothing, face pressed against the glass. Skin was gray and stretched too tight over sharp cheekbones. Its eyes were sunken, but wide, too wide. In its mouth, it was smiling, not a human smile. Its lips didn't curl. They split from ear to ear. And as I stared, frozen, it lifted one long, bony finger and tapped the glass again. Knock. The window didn't shatter. It didn't open. It just stayed there, watching me. Then it slowly tilted its head, and began to crawl, not down, sideways, across the air, back toward the road, toward the cemetery. The truth, the next morning, I drove past Black Hollow in daylight. The gate was closed, chained, rusted, but there was something new. Fresh dirt, right beside the road, a patch of earth that hadn't been there before. No headstone, just a mound, pressed into the dirt tire tracks, my tire tracks, as if something had dragged itself from the cemetery. Followed my car home and marked a place for me. I moved out 2 months later, but sometimes when I visit my parents, I still have to drive down Briarwood Road, and every time I pass Black Hollow Cemetery, the gate is open, slightly, waiting.